Behind all this is the being who created us all. Scientist Anatoly Akimov spoke about the existence of a higher mind. Once an outstanding scientist of the Middle Ages, Paracelsus argued that what at first seems to be mysticism later becomes scientific knowledge. Our ancestors explained lightning by the wrath of the god Zeus, and today these electrical phenomena are studied in physics lessons. Anatoly Akimov was one of those who was convinced that the modern world could not have arisen by chance. In his writings, he wrote about the existence of a higher mind, about the deep connection of man with the cosmos, and about the invisible rays emanating from the human body. The scientist argued that our whole world obeys complex laws that ensure its stability. These laws also govern scientifically established constants. According to Akimov, such quantities could not have arisen as a result of evolution. They were created artificially. About 40 years ago, scientists calculated that if the gravitational, magnetic, and other constants, known to be accurate to 30 decimal places, were changed by at least 1%, our world would lose its stability. The same applies to space, where the planets move in strictly defined orbits. Anatoly Akimov insisted that man, like our whole world, could not have arisen as a result of evolution. When the microscope was invented several hundred years ago, scientists began to study the processes occurring inside the cell. Watching the cell division, they were stunned. Could such processes occur in a cell if they were not planned in advance by someone? Akimov noted that, given the frequency of mutations and the speed of biochemical processes in cells, it would take more time to create a human being than modern science allocates to the age of the universe. The scientist also mentioned the existence of a so-called information repository, which contains complete information about the entire universe. It is to this databank, in his opinion, that clairvoyants are connected. Akimov conducted research on the phenomenon of clairvoyance and claimed that with the help of experiments, it is possible to determine whether the visions of these people are a figment of the imagination, a hallucination, or a manifestation of special abilities. He divided the clairvoyants into 3 groups. The first group could foresee events concerning themselves or their loved ones. The second group received information from entities living in other worlds. The third group was in contact with the Supreme Being who controls the entire universe. Anatoly Akimov was convinced of the existence of a higher essence. To confirm this, he provided data on the number of elements in the universe. According to his calculations, there should be at least 1,055 of them. In order for all the elements of the universe to develop, someone is needed who controls this process. The control is carried out by means of signals. According to Akimov's calculations, it would take 1 billion years to move a signal from one end of the universe to the other at the speed of light. However, the signals, in his opinion, are transmitted instantly. Otherwise, all the elements of the universe would not be able to function as a whole. This conclusion does not contradict religious beliefs. The Bible speaks of God's omnipresence, His presence everywhere and always. This means that the Supreme Mind has absolute possibilities to influence everything that happens in the universe. Akimov argued that what people call God is a thinking matter that permeates the entire universe, but does not have a human appearance. The scientist also recognized the existence of a subtle world where souls reside. He believed that this world was not parallel to ours. Just as we cannot see electromagnetic waves with the help of physical vision, so the subtle world is not in another dimension, it permeates our world. Interestingly, Akimov came to these beliefs at the age of 55. It was then that he was baptized. When the scientist first came to the church, the priest asked him a question. "Do you believe in God?" Akimov replied, "No, I just know that God cannot not exist." He had 7 reasons to believe in God. Akimov was inspired by the ideas of scientist Cressy Morrison, who claimed the existence of a penetrating mind that put life into all living things. Science, according to Akimov, is only at the beginning of the path of knowledge. As she develops, her achievements increasingly illuminate our morning with bright rays of truth. "I have 7 reasons to believe in God," said scientist Cressy Morrison. He was thinking about the all-pervading mind that put life into all living things. At the very beginning of the path of scientific knowledge, science is just beginning to unfold, illuminating our morning with bright rays. As dawn approaches, we see the work of an intelligent creator more clearly. Thus, we are inevitably moving towards understanding the existence of a higher mind. So said chemist Cressy Morrison, who served as president of the New York Academy of Sciences in the 40s of the last century. In the last years of his life, he wrote an article entitled 7 Reasons Why a Scientist Believes in the Existence of a Creator. In this article, Morrison outlined the arguments that led him to believe in a higher mind. The first foundation is mathematical laws. Based on the immutable laws of mathematics, Morrison argued that the universe was conceived and created by a higher intelligence acting with the precision of an experienced engineer. For example, the Earth rotates around its axis at a constant speed. If the rotation rate slowed down, the days and nights would become so long that plants would die from the heat during the day and from the cold at night. The tilt of the Earth's axis at an angle of 23 degrees to the vertical ensures the change of seasons. If this tilt did not exist, the water vapor rising from the oceans would move from north to south, forming ice sheets on the continents. Morrison also noted that the distance between the Moon and the Earth plays a key role. If it were to decrease fourfold, the tides in the oceans would flood huge areas twice a day. These examples, according to the scientist, prove that life on Earth could not have arisen by chance. The second foundation is the life force. Morrison believed that there was a source from which all life drew its strength. For example, the root of a tree has the power to destroy a rock. This force acts as a sculptor who creates shapes, a musician who creates sounds, and a chemist who gives taste to fruits and aroma to flowers. Morrison wondered if nature, lacking intelligence, could have created this. The third foundation is instincts. The scientist gave examples from the life of animals. Salmon, for example, are born in a river, then swim into the ocean, and later return to spawn with amazing accuracy. Eels, having reached maturity, return to their places of birth, traveling huge distances. The fourth foundation is the human mind. The human mind goes beyond simple instincts. We are able to reflect on the meaning of life, create music and art, count and realize our existence. Morrison believed that the mind is a manifestation of the universal mind. The fifth base is genes. Morrison argued that genes are the blueprints by which any living organism is built. Despite their microscopic size, they control the lives of all creatures on Earth, which, according to the scientist, proves the care of the higher mind for each of us. The sixth foundation is proportions in nature. Morrison pointed to a balance in nature that could only be created by a perfect mind. For example, in Australia, cacti have spread so quickly that they have become a threat to the ecosystem. However, scientists have found an insect that has helped restore balance. The seventh foundation is imagination. Morrison believed that the idea of God originated in man due to a unique ability, imagination. Through him, a person comprehends the great truths of the spiritual world and feels the presence of the universal mind in his life. The more we feel this mind inside us, the more we strive to observe moral principles and strengthen our faith in God, said Cressy Morrison. Write down what you think of the scientist's words. Do you believe that we were created by a higher mind? Dear friends, thank you for watching my video to the end. If you liked it, please like it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's very important. Thank you, and have a nice day.